this time, instead of streaming Dwarf Fortress, I intended on just streaming a little bit of Skyrim, specifically overlooking the mods that I will be using in a Skyrim playthrough, potentially on Mondays. And I'll be going over the mods and the character creation a little bit, but don't worry, you don't have to watch a whole lot of character creation. The character is already set up, and all I need to do is use a predetermined, pre-followed, if I could word myself correctly, a predetermined prelude. A character who I have saved already. Okay, so we have 99 mods this time, and one disabled mod. I considered using Open City Skyrim, but honestly, I forget to save half the time, and most of my saves are autosaves from leaving cities. So it's probably a good thing if I don't use the Open City Skyrim mod, in which we'd skip the loading screen, but you'd have to deal with the fact that I am brain dead. Okay, so besides that, we also have Harvest Overhaul redone and AIO installer, which is an alchemy mod. Basically, it allows you to get more than one flower from a bush, and like 2 eyes from creatures, etc., etc. Four's new idols in Skyrim, this one and the one below it, are filled with extra actions that NPCs can take part in. For example, your follower, instead of merely following you, may go and stir a pot, and that'll be interesting. Or if you have the camping mod, they will lay down in the camping tent. I've got TK Dodge, which I'm not very good at, and it's not nearly as helpful if you don't have lock-on, but I couldn't get lock-on to work, so we have TK Dodge and no lock-on. We have XP 32 Maximum Skeleton Special Extended, which is one of Race Menu's required mods. It basically, it's something to do with how the characters' bodies work, and you can... Hi, dog. Okay, I should focus. And you can... losing a brain is a terrible thing. Okay. Yeah, basically character editors need Maximum Skeleton Special Extended, essentially. Immersive armors, that adds a whole bunch of fancy armors to the game, which you can then create or find on the enemies around you. Chaos Hairdo's SSE is a hairdo mod. It overdoes it a lot because there's like 700 hairdos, but at the same time, I tried the light version and they lack almost all of the hairdos that I actually like. We have the unofficial Skyrim Special Edition patch, which is very important. It stops a whole bunch of bugs from occurring. Weapons, armor, clothing, and clutter fixes. This stops, for example, your hood from glitching with your robe, and I believe the clutter fixes part removes certain items that we would barely notice in the first place in order to make it work more efficiently. We have Great Cities 2.1, which overhauls the minor hold capitals, Dragon Bridge and Rorikstead. I had a different one which overhauled Marthal and Falkreath and everything, but that didn't work alongside another mod I have. Armor and clothing extension, as it says, adds more diversity and lore-friendly clothing options and gives the NPCs more appropriate attire. And we also have clothing, cloaks and capes, Cloaks of Skyrim, etc. and Winter is Coming, SSE, cloaks, Wick cloaks, which all three of those essentially give the characters cloaks so that they can keep themselves warm, which is very important if you're playing a survival game. And overall, it matches the aesthetic of the cold northern lands a lot better than if people are running around in tank tops, which is basically the iron armor. Okay, we got Wildcat Combat of Skyrim, a realistic damage plugin, which I believe it as it says, it overhauls the combat system. Oh, here it is. It increases lethality, adding injuries and context-sensitive stagger, and making combat AI more responsive and aggressive. And basically, you can now get injuries that make it even harder to fight things. Okay, and there's two versions of that. Wildcat Realistic Damage plugin and Wildcat just the regular Combat of Skyrim. Skyrim Recycling, this is specifically for the expanded Skyrim weaponry by LR Samways, is a way that you can deconstruct those steel warhammers and get several daggers out of them, for example. And this specific update is Skyrim Recycling version 1.14, no experience, so this time, every time I change a pelt into a cloak, it does not give me experience. Or something. I added Where's Your Smelter because I got tired of going to various towns and finding a blacksmith, but miraculously they don't have a smelter, so why is it that only like one place in Skyrim has a smelter? Doesn't make sense. Realistic Horse Breeds by Kitty is, it changes the colors of the horses, basically. It's cute. I like it. Forgotten Dungeons, I've played this game for like 770 hours or something, and it's quite fun to actually go into the game and be able to be surprised like a tiny amount of the time, because the dungeon I did not recognize because it wasn't there before. We also have Better Dynamic Snow, which is an environmental mod and overhauls the snow to look a little more like snow, but mostly I use it for the ability to have snow on, for example, farmhouses and such. Obsidian Weathers changes the weathers around so that it's more than a little light rain that you can't even tell that it's raining. Realistic Water 2. That one changes the water to look a little more pretty. Amazing follower tweaks. This one can get annoying, and I'll admit I haven't been using it as much now that there's followers like Inigo, Lucian, and I've never actually tried Megdra, but I like the ability to tell my followers what to do instead of getting locked in a closet due to them. Miko Reborn is also similar in that Miko, the little puppy you can find in a house, is given a makeover and also is given more power or something. I forget exactly what, but yeah, basically unique appearance and other features. Vigilance Reborn is similar to that. You find another dog called Vigilance, and he gets his own particular look in this. I used to have a different mod, which was Dogs of Skyrim, but there were just too many dogs everywhere. And my dog is digging at the cushion. Eat it. Stop it. Okay. I swear this dog has my perfectionistic tendencies in himself. Okay, alternate start Live Another Life is in which you don't have to go through the same wagon scene that you see every single time in every single Skyrim Let's Play. So instead you get to choose, for example, if you're a Khajiit, you can be part of a Khajiit caravan. If you are a Altmer, you can be a part of the Thalmor, though that doesn't last very long. And overall, it's pretty interesting. Parazia quest markers, I mostly use it for the drop ability, but it's useful to actually have some guesstimate of where these Parazia gems are, instead of going out and searching every single cave, and then finding out, oh, you couldn't get it because it was part of the wizard quest, and you can't actually get the last gem because you need to complete the College of Winterhold, even though your character is not a mage. Character creation overhaul. I believe that affects... Oh yes, it essentially brings in the Oblivion character creation style, in which you have a single birth sign, your character is getting certain abilities due to being a race, and also the characters will gain certain abilities depending on which class you choose. Cutting room floor adds a whole bunch of cut content. Hearthfile multiple adoptions and custom home support. I don't tend to adopt more than 1 or 2 kids, but It's fun to have that option. Honed metal. I love this one because, again, because you can run into a blacksmith, and in the original game you couldn't tell them, hey, I've got this money, can you make me a steel greatsword? And instead of just looking over what they already have, you can now ask for a order to be done, and they will temper, craft, or enchant your item to your specifications. Of course, it's pretty pricey, but it makes more sense. Multiple enchantments ordinator patch. I believe that in the original one you could only get two enchantments on your gear, whereas now you can put more enchantments on that gear depending on how much you upgrade the skill. Perk points and more... Loud puppy. Perk points and more gold for bounty quests gives you a actual reason to go on those bounty quests and kill those dragons and kill those bandit leaders and giants. Even though they pay off barely. I mean, it's almost like they cost more than they cost more out of your time than you actually make out of them. Run for your lives. It makes citizens run away and guards run to enemies. I haven't really seen it in action, but I know that's a big problem because in my Xbox 360 version of Skyrim, I remember Adriana going and running right into battle and getting herself killed because she was a blacksmith who decided to run into the combat. Skyrim skill uncapper just, I believe, makes a level cap of 100. Unlocks the skill cap of level 100 and makes some relevant leveling tweaks. Okay. All Thieves Guild jobs concurrently makes sense as well, and I like it because you can be sent to Markarth from Riften for 6 different jobs, and instead of taking those jobs individually and getting immensely frustrated, you will pick up all those jobs and go to Markarth, commit a crime spree, and finish and go home to Riften, and then feel so much more productive. Dark Brotherhood for good guys. I don't really... Usually when I play Dark Brotherhood, it's not a good guy character, but it's good to have just in case because it's an interesting thing to do. I know Thieves Guild for good guy is what is actually the reason why I have the Dark Brotherhood for good guys, and that's because in Oblivion, you used to be like a Robin Hood. Yay! Steal from the rich, give to the poor. And that was cool. Or sort of cool. And then you go into Skyrim and suddenly, oh, we're only stealing for ourselves. And that's still cool, but it doesn't make sense also because Opulent Thieves Guild. In the original game, the Thieves Guild just stays dingy and dank and dark and sewery. which makes sense because they're in a sewer, but if they're not using this money and they're not giving it away, then where the heck is all this money going besides into Mercer Frey's pockets? Okay, and then we have I Need, which is a water, food, and sleep mod. It's basically a companion to the camping and Frostfall mods, in which it just gives immersion. It's also kind of annoying, but I like my mods to be annoying. Joy of Perspective. As you can see in the picture, you actually look down and you see your body when you look downward in first person. Run and walk at your pace. You've got a room at the Bannered Mare, 12 times, and you have to follow Hulda very slowly, and you can't use the controller's thing of matching her speed by gradually adjusting the control pad. Yeah. Instead, she walks and runs at your pace, which can get annoying when you're chasing after enemies, but also makes more sense. Skyrim Better Roads makes the roads more, I believe it's more bumpy and, no, not that one. Small modification that aims to bring immersion to Roads of Skyrim. Basically, they're saying that they are a little, like, there'll be fences at some points, and there'll be gates, and just more roads. Skyrim Reputation. It allows for you to gain a reputation, and I believe the guard's dialogue and several other characters' dialogue changes due to your reputation. For example, if you have a reputation as a Dragonborn hero, then they'll stop saying, "Did someone steal your sweet roll?" Okay, Wet and Cold. Your character will will start dripping and start getting snow on them when they're wet or cold. Winter Sun, I believe this is the New Faiths mod, in which you can worship a god in Skyrim and they will come to your aid instead of getting their blessing for no apparent reason, and instead of being a thief and getting, or being a necromancer and getting Arkay's blessing out of nowhere. And I got Winter Sun instead of the one I used to have, which was Religions, because of the patch that works with Skyrim Reputation. Your Own Thoughts makes all those little tiny messages that tell you about your character being hungry, etc., into first-person thoughts. Summer Mist Enchantments of Skyrim adds more enchantments. Acquisitive Soul Gems multi-threaded makes sure you don't use up that black soul gem with a petty soul in it. Instead, only human souls can go in the black soul gems, only great souls can go into the great soul gems, etc. Apocalypse magic of Skyrim is just like Summer Mist in that it adds more magic as opposed to Summer Mist adding more enchantments. Apocalypse is more of Apocalypse magic of Skyrim, and it works together with the Ordinator mod, by the way. Apache Divine Elegance Store, I don't think we're gonna visit it in this run through, but it's interesting to have, and if people really want a particular outfit from it, then I could probably have my character get it or something. But most likely we're just gonna use immersive armors or something. Rich Skyrim merchants. I really don't like having to go to like 8 different merchants to get rid of all of my dragon bones. So instead I am giving them more money so that I can take it. Papyrus SE scripting utility functions. I believe it's a scripting thing. Yeah. Provides various conveniences related to data storage and other miscellaneous functions to scripts and modders. Noble Skyrim architecture gets a new look. For example, the city of Whiterun, I believe, will look more like Jorviskar, in which everything will be wood, I believe, whereas Solitude, which I believe is in this picture, will look more like Imperial cities. Oh, my dog found his toy. Yay. Realistic aspen trees, SE. Huh. I thought I got rid of aspen trees. I'm gonna get rid of it because I could have sworn I got rid of it. Okay. And it's gonna deploy again. Alright, and then we've got Skyrim 3D trees and plants, static mesh improvement mod so that the little things mostly. Underground, I've never actually used the underground mod before, but it adds like sewers and Nordic dungeons and stuff. Convenient horses, gotta love it. You can teleport your horse to yourself or summon it with the whistle and give it items in its pack. Campfire. For example, Campfire adds a few very heavy tents, which really work well with convenient horses' saddlebags. Campfire complete camping system, as I was saying, adds camping gear. Whereas Frostfall, Hypothermia, Camping Survival will add the ability to freeze to death, for example. So you have to keep your body temperature up. OBIS, Organized Bandits in Skyrim Special Edition. There are several different groups of bandits now, and they all have their reasons for what they're doing, and some of them are more annoying than others. Realistic faces, Skyrim SE character overhaul makes the potato faces a little less potato-y. Hello, Serena, I believe. Travelers of Skyrim Basically, you'll run into more than just the people heading to Solitude for the wedding, and more than just the and going the wrong way, and more than just the farmer heading to Solitude to enlist for the Stormcloaks. You'll actually find like people who are injured who need healing, and wild animals, and a whole bunch of stuff. The kids are alright. I sometimes like to adopt the NPC children, just because I can. Even though half of the characters who adopt in my games are either psychopathic child warrior type people, or because I want to give them a better life than living on their own by giving them a life living in their own in a house. Oh, hey! Someone called Backstab Kitty is commenting. Hello, Backstab Kitty. Are you a Khajiit? Alright, 20% more perk points. I just like more perk points, and I'm not quite at the point of getting a perk point every time. I'm not quite that obsessed with getting every point. Okay, carriage and ferry overhaul. I like to be able to drop myself off at, for example, Rorikstead on my way to Whiterun, even though it should be cheaper to go from Markarth to Whiterun than it is to get to Whiterun. It's 80 gold instead of 60 gold. And you can go to Rorikstead from Riften anyway. And yes, all the best Backstab kitties are Khajiits. I am at nearly the end of the mod talk, so thankfully that means this is almost over, but I think I'm gonna make a little adjustment so that I don't appear to be talking completely to myself, if that's alright, Backstab Kitty. That box. Ah. There. You should now be able to pop up on the screen if you want to talk to anyone else, or if anyone else wants to just poke their head in. Granted, my OCD is gonna be going crazy because now the screen is on an angle, but whatever. Guard dialogue, again, it is basically that whole did someone steal your sweet roll? I used to be an adventurer like you, then I took an arrow to the knee. And all those fun quotes from the guards will be a little more spread out. If you're a thief, they're more likely to remark on you being wearing Thieves Guild armor, or having those thieves' hands and everything. Do I have Khajiit caravan kittens? That is a question. I don't think I've actually played a Khajiit for a while, though I do have a joking one who is red and green and pink, I believe, who is called Beet Juice, who is looking for his sister Cabbage, and was made as a joke between my friends and I. The character this time is going to be an orc, because orc mages makes no sense. And I love characters who make no sense. Immersive College of Winterhold. It overhauls Winterhold to just be more magic-y. Moonlit Tales Special Edition. Werewolf and Werebear overhaul will give you... I'm not sure if it gives you perks or if the perks were in the original game and I just didn't get a werewolf character quite so often, but it's something like that. Ordinator, I love this perk chart. Basically, light armor is more useful than just not getting hit. Or light armor is more useful than getting hit and getting killed because you don't have the heavy armor bonus. Realistic lighting overhaul sometimes makes things harder for thief characters, sometimes makes it easier. Blackthorn Buildable Town in the Rift is a buildable town in the Rift that you can find. Can one play Skyrim without Ordinator? I don't know. My friends offered to buy Skyrim on the Switch, and my immediate thought was, how in the world would you play Skyrim without Ordinator or any of the mods? I don't know. But in realistic thoughts, I suppose I did play Skyrim for like a year or two on the Xbox 360 without any mods. So, it's possible. Sweet as Honeyside and Vlindril Hall will update the houses that you can get due to being Thanes of Riften and Markarth. I probably would have more houses here, but I don't actually know their names. So I'm, besides Breezeholm, which I use a different house in Whiterun anyway, so it's kind of a thing that I do to find upgrades to those houses. Immersive world encounters, blah blah blah, adding more than 70 random new events and modifying vanilla ones. The choice is yours. Yes, I know. Right, Backstab Kitty? Skyrim? Vanilla? What is this madness? The choice is yours also allows you to choose not to take part in quests. For example, I remember being able to stop the Companions quest and leave Ayla and Sjaal in the forge and got them stuck there for a time until I eventually said, you know what, I'll continue this quest. Notice board. I like being able to have more quest variety. Imperious, all the vanilla perks that come with the races are now different because now, for example, the Imperials have something speech related. The Khajiits can do a leap at people. And the Altmer have something to do with butterflies. Yeah, stuff like that. And here's a useful one if you don't actually have a action-oriented character. You can attack training dummies and targets now and get levels, although very slow levels out of them. Matter of time, you can look at the sun and guess what time of the day it is. Or just have your character be relied on so that the werewolf, who should remember what moon phase it is, will remember the moon phase. Immersive HUD I have not actually messed around with, but from what I've seen in Gopher's videos, you can press a button and the HUD will disappear. And then press another button and the HUD will reappear. Lore-based loading screens don't really get many of those if you have Inigo as a companion. And yes, another iHUD user. Granted, I've mostly used the New Vegas HUD system instead of the Skyrim Special Edition one. Gopher has all those HUDs that are very confusing sometimes to load. Paper World Map. I love my Paper World Map. It shows me all of my paths and is a lot easier to read, but at the same time, yeah, it's just easier for me to read, and it makes more sense that my character would be holding a paper map. Race menu, you get to have more choices in your characters. Sky UI, important. 60 frames per second interface, important. Enhanced texture details. I don't actually remember what that one does. Enhances your existing textures without performance loss. Makes sense, but oh well. Footprints. Gotta love your footprints in the snow, because I've played so many snow games and I just get frustrated when my characters don't have frickin' footprints. Skyland. Landscape texture overhaul. Okay, and we're almost at the end. Dual wheel block and parry. If I press V, I can block, even with a two-handed weapon, or with 2 swords, or 2 daggers, or whatever. Awesome. Skyrim SE Expanded Skyrim Weaponry. I'm giving it a try. I think that giving one of my characters a scythe at some point would be interesting. Don't you think that would be interesting, Backstab Kitty? And of course we have plugins, but I'm not gonna force you to deal with another whole bunch of things. Only one we don't have active is RS Children Immersive Encounters, because I don't have RS Children even though I have that patch for some reason.